Well, my name is Ileana Rodriguez, and I run an online store called India Romeo. My take on the whole, what is the indie community thing? It's people who grew up being creative and are trying to find a way to incorporate that into their grown-up lives. People who want to support small businesses, who appreciate handmade things, having something that they can't buy on a rack at a department store. People that are there in flesh and blood. You can say, hey, did you make this? Yeah, I made that. Versus going to the store and getting rung up by a cash register. It's different for everyone. What it means to me might not be the same as what it means to someone else. I think the one thing that everyone has in common is that they realize that it's sort of people versus the machine.
Indie craft. I always hate using that term because I think all craft is indie. That's kind of the definition of craft. It's someone making stuff for themselves, by themselves.
I'm really happy to see a lot of people just getting their sewing kits out and making stuff.
People are loving doing things themselves and learning how to do a craft and actually get the satisfaction and enjoyment from actually making something themselves.
Crafter is someone who makes either as a hobby or semi-professionally, who's making something by hand, who in some cases thinks about crafting as making a stance against this sort of hyper-consumer culture that we live in.
People are sort of getting away from wanting to support mass-produced goods, and this really helps as a way that you can do that.
People are basically subverting the capitalistic big box retailer system.
For some people, sustainability, environmental sustainability. For some people, being a crafter is creating their own individual identity.
Supporting indie craft and having an affinity or attraction to that aesthetic is just, I think, a lot of times just people trying to be unique.
For some people, being a crafter is a way to slow down. There's this need to maintain a tactile relationship to the world.
People want to be hands-on, people want to touch, people want to do things a little bit slower, people want to create.
When I sit down in my studio or on the subway and I'm able to tap into that part of myself that makes creative decisions, like should I knit here or should I purl? Should I put an edge on this? When you're able to make those decisions, you're tapping into whatever spirituality is.
In the 70s, there was a burgeoning women's movement, and people just kind of saw crafting as just something that was frivolous, a waste of women's time. Women were made for better, more important things.
I think there was a time in history where women were expected to craft, whether they liked it or not. They were expected to be able to knit and bake cakes and so forth, and now it's all about doing it if you want to do it.
It's something that women can do on their own terms, something that we have. It's definitely not exclusive to women, and it's awesome to see more men getting involved in indie craft, but it's cool to have something of our own that is influenced by our past, but defined on our own terms.
My name is Jenny Hart, and I'm the owner and founder of Sublime Stitching. This is the room where I do my artwork, and then the other side of the house is where the office is. This is Sublime Stitching World Headquarters. One of my most recent packs is called Chi-Chi Fever. I keep a sketchbook, and when I'm designing, I will, I'll know what I want to do, and I'll sketch, and I'll look at source images, because I'll research what a chihuahua looks like so it doesn't look too much like a rat. So this is the sketch for this little guy right here. Then I take tracing paper, and I'll lay it over the sketch, and with a technical pen, I'll make the lines really simple so that it can be turned into an embroidery pattern. There's a real memorializing aspect of embroidery. It's usually on quilts, and there's something, I don't know, like if you knit a sweater for someone, hey, that's really nice. If you embroider something for someone, they're touched like in this way. I don't know how to describe it. When I started Sublime Stitching, I was really worried about the purists coming out and saying, I can't believe you're showing them to do a French knot this way, or, you know, something like that, because I really was taking it from a completely different angle. The thing that's so sweet about it is that needleworkers say, we're just so glad that people are learning to do it, that the education is continuing. I thought, well, yeah, that there was this whole idea that it must be perfect and it has to be held to a certain standard. And I just felt like that didn't need to apply anymore. I mean, it was supposed to be something you enjoyed, and, you know, plus I don't think our generation really likes to be told what to do. I thought it would be stressful to embroider. It looked tedious and like it would just make me want to pull my hair out. But when I started doing it, it was better than drugs, alcohol, therapy, anything I had ever tried. One of the pieces I'm working on right now is a piece of French knots in Braille. I've got a portrait of Loretta Lynn that I've been working on for quite a while that I'm trying to get finished. When I'm working on a piece and I've got it all, you know, like maybe scrunched up like this and I'm just working on one section, opening it up and seeing all the other work that's there when you're finished is really satisfying. It's really exciting to me.
We all share printmaking facilities and a ballroom space. It's kind of a chameleon room, film animation studio, a computer room, and a band room, and a fabric textile dye station room. And we all have our own studios as well. Every month we have a storefront window where an installation artist can install. We're working on our library. It's open to the public. Is our fabric room. Each woman has a bay of her own to keep all of her fabric collection in. So we have a dye station, we have some house dummies. A few of the women like writing. We make their own dresses here, so it's kind of nice. I really love Providence, and I'm really happy that there's a community that just wants to make art and, you know, support each other, and especially this particular collective. We're continuously building and improving our facilities so we can continue to make challenging art and radical actions.
J.W. Buchanan, the Little Friends of Printmaking.
Melissa Buchanan?
Also the Little Friends of Printmaking.
Yeah.
As the Little Friends of Printmaking, we design a lot of posters, and we hand silkscreen all of that stuff, and from there we've sort of branched out into web design and some animation and some toy design and a lot of illustration and graphic design and stuff like that.
We went to Madison for printmaking, both of us did, and Madison's a really good school to go to for printmaking.
When the poster thing came up, I mean, we did a few and we were like, okay, that was interesting, you know, we're into music, that was interesting, now let's go back to making art. But the more we thought about it and the more people asked if we were going to do more, we were like, oh, this is like an opportunity. This is an opportunity to put our work on the street and have people see it. Because unless you came to an exhibition, you never saw our work. Until it was on, like, telephone poles and brick walls and stuff.
I had heard of people like Frank Kozik and Art Chantry and stuff like that, but, you know, I definitely didn't consider them an influence on my artwork, at least at the time. And I think, honestly, that's probably why we got some of the recognition we did, is because kind of maybe our...
We were coming from a different place?
Yeah, our, you know, naivete about the gig poster scene. You know, this is what we thought a gig poster should look like, and unbeknownst to us, it looked nothing like what other people thought a gig poster should look like. We would almost always prefer to work for the band just because it cuts out the middleman, and you know that they're happy with it because ultimately it's their name on it. You don't want to make something that, you know, doesn't necessarily represent them or the event. We've kind of been transitioning out of posters and into more I mean, we still consider them posters, but they're just without band names. You know, we do our art prints, and they have the poster aesthetic, but they're not posters. So we'd be kind of...
Everyone considers them posters except for concert poster collectors. And the comment that we kept hearing from people is, I love your work, but I don't like this band. I wish I could buy that Wolf Mother poster, but I hate Wolf Mother.
You get the people coming up to you, and they're like, well, do you have a Pearl Jam poster? No. Do you have a Sleater Kinney poster? No.
No.
Okay. And we just ended up saying, like, that guy over there has a Pearl Jam poster, and that guy over there has a Sleater Kinney poster. Bye. A lot of our friends, you know, kind of started at the same time. They all are kind of evolving into getting the automatic presses now, or at least sending all of their work out to people who have automatic presses. But it's still kind of important to me to physically make each one. And that's why I think it's funny too, is we'll send this stuff out to galleries and they're like, oh, well, you didn't sign it. And I'm like, yeah, but I printed every single one. Like, why do I have... It's got our printed signature, which I printed, you know, one at a time. Isn't that just as good as, like, sitting down and physically signing them, you know?
I mean, I would love to have an automatic press, but they don't... you can tell a handmade print. Like, it looks good.
I think it's really great, the crossover between, you know, kind of screen printing as a fine art medium and screen printing as, I guess, a craft medium. I think if you're a printmaker, craft becomes something that means, you know, it's a higher level. I mean, you put a lot of work into it, you know a lot about the medium. That's what craft is to us.
And then there's other stuff too that sort of edges in on craft. We've done some handmade books, and we've done some like little pouches and stuff. And then there's other stuff that we do that's super slick, like, you know, vinyl toys and stuff. And maybe that doesn't totally fit into craft, but it's like the same idea. Craft people, makers, they have the same goals that we have, and there shouldn't be any separation. And if anything, like, our presence creates a context that puts the work that makers are doing in the right light so that people can understand.
My story of how I got into doing crafting is similar to a lot of other crafters that I know. After college, I got a day job in an office and started kind of plugging away, typing every day, ordering office supplies, doing whatever my boss needed to do. And I really missed doing fun, creative things and realized that there was sort of this movement of young women who were starting businesses online and doing craft shows. I thought, well, maybe I can do this too. I just realized that there were other people out there who were just like me, you know, they were working these day jobs that they hated and had always sort of been creative growing up, but then, you know, you realize as you grow older and as you get to be an adult that you have to pay the bills. We were all sort of going through the same thing, and I watched, you know, people who launched their businesses around the same time as mine sort of start to evolve and sort of start making the same realizations, and we're all in the same place. We all have successful businesses, manage to juggle our day jobs and our crafty lives, and we travel, and it's just fun.
Any postcards in your future? There are several categories for your postcard.
A craft fair is more than just showing up and buying stuff. It's just like a way to support different communities. It's a way to meet people, and it's a way to like support individual artists, but it's more than just a shopping experience. A lot of craft fairs now have DIY tables where you can make your own piece to bring home, and I just think that is such an amazing development. It's nothing I ever would have imagined a couple years ago. My first craft fair was the punk rock craft fair in Massachusetts outside Boston, and it was like so fun. And the emphasis was not on selling things, the emphasis was on hanging out, listening to music, eating vegan food, and that was it.
I heard about Renegade the first year they did it. I was so excited to hear that there was a show of all these just great, cool people, and it wasn't just a traditional arts and crafts show.
We made 250 swag bags filled with magazines and coupons from our vendors and fun little treats, and we got rid of the 250 bags within the first 7 minutes. It just made me realize how strong the crafty scene in LA is, which I don't know if people realize that. A lot of people think it's just breast implants and plastic surgery and flashy cars. I go weeks without seeing a breast implant.
There's so many things in the world now that I think people want the things that they have in their life to mean something, to have some type of personal meaning, whether it be a friend has made it for you or whether you went to a craft fair and you met the person who actually made it.
Well, my name's Kathy Sever, and my company is Romonster, and I live here in Austin, Texas. My studio is my garage behind my house. Voila! This is where the magic happens. On the dresses, the interesting part is going to be, well, this one's got the H-I, get it? Hi. And the back says hello, friend. Living in Austin, obviously, that's been some of my influence, although I worked on a dude ranch for a little while and definitely did the whole cowboy thing, cowgirl thing. I draw the picture and then I trace it onto tracing paper, and then I flip it so I've got a reverse image, and then I copy it using carbon paper onto stabilizer, and then I stick the stabilizer on the back of the fabric, and then I put the embroidery thread in the bobbin case, regular thread on top, put a darning foot on. It's all just a regular machine. Darning foot on, drop the feed dogs, and then it's just like free motion. The machine. So you don't use an embroidery? And I patented that, so no, just kidding. I'm just kidding. Now that everybody knows my specialty. Oh, is that the secret? No, we won't put it no, it's. I'm kidding. It's totally not secret at all. I went to art school, and I thought I was going to be a painter, and then I moved to Montana. And there in Montana, there was all these people who were so far removed from the art world, but who were infusing everything that they did with this like amazing creative flair. And to me it felt so much more solid and real to be making something that was going to be purposeful for somebody, or like something that somebody was going to wear or use. All of a sudden there was lots of people my age that were kind of coming from this art school background who were wanting to make usable items.
I've always, since I was a teenager, just tried to make my own stuff, like with varying success. Went to jewelry school and finished in 1998 in Portland. And then once I actually, learned some really silversmithing and a lot of casting skills, it transformed what I thought about making pieces. This is my 149th piece. The necklace has a tiny necklace on. These are some pieces that I made for Craft magazine. I made soaps and lip balms and then brown sugar scrub, and did go-code labels, and then made little shrink art pieces as the little embellishments. It's so much fun to write about craft stuff, and it's a great break from actually doing it, day in, day out. I started writing a craft blog called West Coast Crafty because I love running my business, but I feel like getting some balance where I'm doing something that's free and like totally accessible, and it doesn't have anything to do with whether or not someone wants to buy something. I love the crafty magazines that are out. When I was really focusing on getting my business started, Venus was one of the magazines that spotlighted me, and I've never forgotten, what it feels like to get your name in print, a picture of your stuff on a page. With Super Crafty, we were approached by our publisher, Sasquatch, and it was just this amazing chance to put together a book proposal. Doing a project for somebody else's book, it's usually kind of a glory thing, like you don't get paid, you don't get tons of upfront support in terms of you come up with the idea, you pitch it, you send it, you make it, you ship it away. But it's just so fun to be part of a book like Tease, for example. It was a blast. My t-shirt ended up in there with all the Austin Craft Mafia girls and Amy Sedaris and Todd Oldham, and I was just what a fun project. And then at the end they auctioned them all off to benefit a literacy organization in New York at their book party. So something like that, what an opportunity,
My earrings and stuff have a little hook on the back, so I can just hang them over the multiplier, so I'm just going to do that. I'm going to staple string and just run it across. I'm confident that it's going to work. The first show that I did as India Romeo was a show called The Rockin' Shop in Raleigh, North Carolina. I thought, well, if I want to do this, I need to get my feet wet. After I got a taste of what it was like, I was like, I can really do this. This is going to be awesome. I have stapled myself. Wandering the streets and dripping blood everywhere. Oh, better. Just getting to see everything in person is such a great thing too, because most of our experiences with each other are through email or instant messaging or just seeing each other's work online. I don't know if my motivation for doing the shows anymore is that I want to do them or if I just want to see my friends.
Hi, I'm Billy. I'm Tootie. And we're the owners of Reform School in Silver Lake, California.
I'm Petra Geiger, and I am the owner of Beehive Co-op. We are a space that's really dedicated to emerging designers and artists.
My name is Kelly Teasley.
My name is Maggie.
I am co-owner of Youngblood Gallery and Boutique.
I'm a co-owner of Youngblood Gallery and Boutique.
Our focus is sustainable design and independent artists and crafters.
My name's Andrea Porter, and I own Blue Bottle Art Gallery with my husband Matthew.
I'm Breezy. I'm the needles half of Needles and Pens.
We showcase artwork and functional artwork, primarily from local artists in Seattle.
I'm Andrew Scott.
I'm Erin Weckerly. I'm the owner of Soda Fine Boutique.
I'm Jeremy. A little Otsu.
Needles meaning clothing, and like crafty goods, and the pens mean the zines.
We say we're a paper goods store on the sign, even though it's like t-shirts and all sorts of stuff.
And I'm the pens guy, and Breezy's the needles guy. What is this place? I say that a lot. What is this place? We go, it's a store, it's a retail store.
It's weird to think about how malls have come about in our lifetime. Like, we can't say that about many things.
That whole concept of the ma and pa shop seems so foreign to us now.
Well, it's because it's been taken away.
Yeah.
I mean, in the past 20 years, it's almost completely vanished from our society.
90% of America is just like Walmart.
I'm happy to see that there's already a backlash.
We're not specifically people that were crafters that did stuff, but we definitely could identify that we like that a lot more.